The Palestinian protests shut down the Oscars tonight. Humanity wins.
One question about Gaza.
Yes, we have to come to peace.
Some of Hollywood's biggest names, yes, the same ones whose faces you've seen on blockbuster posters and red carpet galas, have gone on record supporting the Palestinian cause, despite the tidal wave of industry pressure to keep their lips sealed. It's not something that earns them brownie points in certain circles, and it's certainly not the kind of stance that gets neatly packaged into a PR-friendly Instagram post, but it's real, it's loud enough to be heard, and it's proof that empathy still exists in the upper echelons of entertainment. And while you might think celebrity activism is all about hashtags and carefully timed charity events, these stars have pushed past the surface, taking risks that could have cost them roles, endorsement deals, and even relationships inside the industry. But here's the thing, if you thought I was about to rattle off the whole list right now and call it a day, think again. We're going to take our time, because each name comes with its own story, its own flair, and its own little act of defiance that makes it worth more than a fleeting headline. Mark Ruffalo is as close to an anti-Hollywood star as you can get. The kind of guy who can play the Hulk in billion-dollar Marvel blockbusters and then hop on Twitter to call out military occupations. The Wisconsin-born actor, with his decades-long career spanning indie dramas and tentpole spectacles, has made it clear that his activism is not a side hustle, it's part of who he is. He's spoken publicly about Palestinian human rights, even when doing so landed him in political crossfire. The man's not naive. He knows the machine he's up against, but maybe that's why it hits harder. Ruffalo isn't just mouthing off between films, he's consistently linking his fame to causes most celebrities won't touch with a 10-foot pole. Susan Sarandon, meanwhile, has been Hollywood's eternal troublemaker in the best possible way. From her Oscar-winning turn in Dead Man Walking to the cult classic Thelma and Louise, she's built a career on playing women who push back, and off-screen, she's no different. Sarandon's political edge has gotten her blacklisted from certain events, smeared in the press, and treated as a cautionary tale for actors who say too much. But she wears that reputation like a medal. She's marched, she's spoken, and she's made it clear that silence isn't an option when people's lives are on the line. Her solidarity with Palestine is a natural extension of her lifelong rebellion against the idea that celebrities should stay in their lane. Then there's Hunter Schafer, a different kind of figure entirely. Young, vibrant, unapologetically herself. You might know her as Jules from Euphoria, the glowing center of one of TV's most talked about dramas. But beyond the lens, Schafer has shown that she understands the stakes of global solidarity. It's easy for rising stars to be swallowed up by branding deals and image consultants, but Schafer's trajectory has been more defiant. She stands as proof that the next generation of artists can see beyond their own bubble, linking struggles for justice across borders instead of treating them like isolated hashtags. Rami Youssef, with his sharp wit and groundbreaking series Rami, occupies a rare space in Hollywood. He's both insider and cultural disruptor. He's managed to navigate the tricky waters of representing complex Middle Eastern narratives without letting the industry sanitize them. That alone is an act of resistance. And when he extends that same energy toward Palestine, it doesn't come across as a random celebrity endorsement. It feels like an authentic continuation of his storytelling, one that refuses to flatten the humanity of people who are so often reduced to political talking points. Sometimes, the support comes from corners you wouldn't expect. Take Phineas O'Connell, for example, known to the masses as Billie Eilish's brother, producer, and co-writer. He could easily float through life staying entirely apolitical, keeping the focus on Grammy wins and sold-out tours. But no, Phineas has used his platform to amplify humanitarian issues, including Palestine, in ways that are subtle but unmistakable. In a music industry where silence is safe, even a quiet word can be a shout. Billie Eilish herself, with her whisper-to-a-scream vocal style and black and green hair legacy, has proven she's not here to be anyone's industry puppet. She's hinted, nudged, and dropped enough cues to make it clear she's aware of injustice beyond her immediate fame bubble. For a star her size, even an indirect nod toward Palestine disrupts the carefully curated PR machinery designed to keep artists neutral. And Billie's fan base, massive, young, and globally connected, picks up on those cues faster than any press release could. Ava DuVernay is one of those rare creators who can put her finger on a cultural wound and turn it into award-winning cinema. She's tackled racial injustice in America with Selma and 13th, so it's no shock that she's capable of connecting the dots to oppression abroad. DuVernay's voice carries weight, not just because of her art, but because she's willing to use her credibility in Hollywood to talk about causes that most directors, especially those dependent on big studio financing, would rather sidestep entirely. Melissa Barrera, the Mexican actress who stole scenes in the Heights and Scream, learned firsthand what happens when you speak out. She made her solidarity with Palestine clear, and suddenly headlines shifted from celebrating her performances to scrutinizing her politics. But Barrera didn't shrink. In a climate where even mild statements get celebrities dragged into online storms, she doubled down, showing that her career wasn't going to be dictated by those who demand silence. Bella Hadid doesn't just have Palestinian heritage, she's made it central to her public identity, and she hasn't done it in a tokenizing, PR-managed way. She's marched, posted, and faced real backlash, including accusations from industry insiders who think models should just stick to fashion. But Bella's presence in those protests sends a bigger message. You can stand on runways in Paris one week and still stand in solidarity in the streets the next. That balance of global glamour and raw activism makes her voice one of the loudest in this entire conversation. Pedro Pascal may be best known these days for The Mandalorian and The Last of Us, but behind the helmet and the hardened post-apocalyptic survivor act is a man who knows what it means to have a political conscience. The Chilean-born actor comes from a country with its own history of dictatorship and resistance, and that lens shapes his worldview. His support for Palestine isn't performative, it's rooted in a deep understanding of what it means when powerful states trample over the powerless. Joseph Quinn might be a newer name in Hollywood thanks to Stranger Things, but he's quickly building a reputation as someone who isn't afraid to align himself with uncomfortable truths. It's one thing for seasoned stars to take risks. They've got decades of work to fall back on. But for a rising actor to stand in solidarity so early in his career, that's a gamble, and Quinn seems willing to take it. Even in the literary world, Viet Thanh Nguyen stands out. The Pulitzer Prize-winning author of The Sympathizer understands imperialism in ways most of Hollywood's scriptwriters could never articulate. His voice on Palestine isn't just symbolic, it's informed, precise, and rooted in the kind of historical analysis that strips away the PR-friendly gloss of celebrity activism. Cynthia Nixon might forever be Miranda to Sex and the City fans, but in real life, she's been far more radical than her sitcom alter ego. Her political career and activism prove she's not in this for clout. She's in it because she genuinely believes in liberation for all people, no matter the borders. Bradley Cooper's inclusion might surprise some, but even Hollywood's most bankable leading men can have moments where they choose people over profit. Cooper's support hasn't been loud in the tabloid sense, but when it's there, it lands with the credibility of someone who doesn't usually wade into political waters. Alfonso Cuarón, the visionary behind Gravity and Roma, understands the power of imagery, and he knows that silence can be a kind of complicity. His work often reflects the humanity of people pushed to the margins, and his willingness to extend that lens to Palestine shows that empathy in art doesn't stop at one's own cultural border. The list goes on. What ties them together isn't just fame, but a refusal to buy into the idea that human rights are controversial. They're proof that you can live in the glow of paparazzi flashbulbs and still keep your eyes on the bigger picture. And that's the quiet truth buried under all the headlines. These celebrities are not saviors, and they're not perfect, but they're also not letting the fear of lost deals, angry emails, or bot-fueled smear campaigns stop them from saying what so many people with platforms refuse to say. They've chosen to be more than just famous, they've chosen to be human, and in an industry built on illusions, that might be the most radical thing of all.